Hello everybody, this is Pitch Skull Black here, and welcome to the 65th instalment of the Skulls General Reviews, in which today I'm going to be reviewing the new adventure Birthright. So without further ado, let us begin this review by taking a look at the presentation of this Doctor Who book. We have the new adventures, Doctor Who, Birthright and Nigel Robinson for the text, and then for the cover itself, set along a sort of washed out, I forget the name, but washed out River Thames. We have the TARDIS, one of the Charl from the book, which are the monsters, and then they've got the Houses of Parliament in the background there. Really nice and atmospheric cover. This is drained is what I meant to say with the River Thames there, but yeah, really nice and atmospheric cover. I like it a lot, and it is a really nice Doctor Who book cover. Then for the spine we have Birthright, Nigel Robinson, Doctor Who, and then for the back we have the synopsis, Doctor Who 30th anniversary 1963 to 1993, full-length original novels based on the longest running science fiction series of all time. The BBC's Doctor Who The New Adventures takes the TARDIS into previously unexplored realms of time and space. Nigel Robinson for several years was the editor in charge of novelisations based on Doctor Who television stories. Now a freelance writer and editor, he has written several Doctor Who novelisations, various other books about the programme, and one of the earliest new adventures, Time Room Apocalypse, as well as novels based on Indiana Jones, among numerous TV and film spin-offs. UK, US, Australia recommended prices, science fiction TV tie-in, and then the barcode. And now for the synopsis. I feel like a pawn in a blasted chess game, Ace. I know what you mean. Trouble is, they keep changing the chess players. The TARDIS has died. Stranded in early 20th century London, Bernice can only stand and watch as it slowly disintegrates. In the East End, a series of grisly murders has been committed. Is this the work of the ghostly Spring Heel Jack? Or, as Bernice suspects, something even more sinister? In a tiny shop in Bloomsbury, the master of a grand order of sorcerers is nearing the end of a 700-year quest for a fabled magic wand. And on a barren world, in the far distant future, the queen of a dying race pleads for the help of an old hermit named Mould Witch, while Ace leads a group of guerrillas in a desperate struggle against the alien oppressors. These events are related. Perhaps the Doctor knows how, but the Doctor has gone away. For the interior of this Doctor Who book, we have Birthright, Doctor Who books published in the Virgin New Adventure line. The New Adventures, Birthright, Nigel Robinson, and then there you've got various copyright guff there, and then there you've got the contents of this Doctor Who book. This is quite a spread out Doctor Who book. It's only 216 pages long. However, what I mean by being paced or spread out is that there's a prologue, 2 epilogues, as well as 4 main different episodes or parts. But these 4 episodes or parts, entitled Part 1 Benny, Part 2 Ace, Part 3 Benny and Ace, and Part 4 the TARDIS, are in turn divided into various subchapters, as well as various interludes as well. So there is a total of 1 prologue, 2 epilogues, 4 main parts, as well as, I believe, 28 main core central chapters, or my mistake, 29 core chapters, as well as I don't know the exact amount, but I want to guess around 6 odd interludes. So yeah, it's quite an interestingly structured book, to say the least. And then at the back there we have the New Adventures Continue in Doctor Who magazine, and at the very start of when this book starts, to the left hand side of the prologue, it says the events of this story are contemporary. That word, if such a word can be used to describe the activities of a Time Lord and his companions with those of the New Adventure Iceberg. So in other words, I think it takes parallel to the timeline of when the Virgin New Adventure Iceberg takes place. And now for my own personal thoughts and opinions, as well as the general consensus of this Virgin New Adventure. On Goodreads, it has a total of 175 ratings as of the recording and writing of this review, with reviews spanning from 3 stars to 5 stars. Do I agree or disagree with the general consensus? Find out in my review. Birthright, in my personal opinion, was a pretty solid reminder as to why it's nice to have shorter Doctor Who books in the canon of this medium overall. Books around this length and under or around 250 pages are always really good and awesome to have when you don't feel like reading a full-length novel that's around 300 plus pages. Sure, they may not, theoretically, deliver as much depth as full novels, but can always be very interesting reads in terms of what a writer can accomplish in this page span, and maybe even deliver as much depth as a full-length novel if done right. This is why I was interested in the first place with Doctor Who Telos novellas and its spin-off range Time Hunter, as these were the only real books series focusing on this. Whereas Time Hunter I would describe as not being that good, the Doctor Who novellas Telos did are great from what I've read, which is a fairly small amount. Not that much afraid because it was terrible. The Cabinet of Light, the religious one with the Seventh Doctor, companion piece, and Time and Relative. But from what I've read, for the most part, were good, with the Cabinet of Light by Daniel O'Mahony being one of the greatest paginated Doctor Who adventures I have ever read, period. These stretch to a total of 26 instalments, 15 from the Doctor Who range and 11 from Time Hunter. And other than that, not much has really been done in terms of classic series Doctor Who with regards to shorter original fiction book stories, which in turn makes it nice to see Candy Jar now doing their Lethbridge Stewart spin-off novellas. The only other way you can find stuff like this is by digging through the expansive catalogue of Virgin New and Missing Adventures, as well as the BBC Past Doctor and 8th Doctor adventure books. By managing to do so, I in turn found another one of my favourite Doctor Who books, The Romance of Crime. Quite a while ago, I had heard about this particular book, Birthright by Nigel Robinson, a book that is only 215 pages long and is extremely minimalistic, with featuring the Doctor, with him only appearing in the last chapter and the second of 2 epilogues at the end of the book. So when I picked this book up fairly recently, I was interested, as I thought it would be a nice foreboding to the Beneath Summerfield New Adventure range of books Virgin were going to start doing in a few years' time, and also a good, short and enjoyable read by Robinson, whom I've had a great experience with in the past with his 2 Target novelisations, The Edge of Destruction and The Underwater Menace, both of which being fantastic, which also in turn led to me being even more curious about the book, as I had not actually read an original fiction book of Doctor Who from him beforehand. So how did it play out? Very good, nothing outstanding, but it does have some very good parts to it. The book itself, as I've mentioned, is divided into a single prologue, 29 core chapters and 2 epilogues, with the 29 core chapters being divided in turn into 4 different episodes or parts: Benny and Ace, and the TARDIS, along with some interludes being sprinkled throughout the book. Out of the 4 episodes themselves, I would say that it is Benny that is the strongest. This has Benny Summerfield being marooned in London in the early 20th century, with grisly murders going on thanks to the monsters of the book, The Charm. This part is the longest out of the 4, taking up pretty much half of the book, and is fantastic in my opinion, and some very good elements such as it being set not too long after the banishment and dispelling of the Jack the Ripper mystery that plagued London, and people thinking that the murders is in fact the return of Jack, with people automatically assuming it is him in fact whenever it's the grasshopper-like appearance of the child. The second then introduces us to Ace's involvement with the story, who is trapped on the planet Anticon, with the cliffhanger of which tying into the third with a paradoxical plot line involving 2 TARDISes, or TARDI, I think that's how you say it, and the time vector generator. To be honest, at times this feels very much like a been there, done that type of read. Part 1 reminds me of the Time Hunter novella The Severed Man at points. The connecting of the 2 plots feels a lot like Lungbarrow. Not only that, there are a bucket full of continuity references in this book. There's an implied descendant of the mighty Kublai Khan from Marco Polo being in the book. There's an ancestor of Victoria Waterfield in the book. The time vector generator is a big reference to the wheel in space, and not to mention the 2 TARDISes being a big riff on Legopolis, which is one of my favourite Doctor Who stories of all time. Stupidly underrated, Legopolis. And these mentions is only scraping the surface of continuity in this book. Not to say that this is necessarily a bad thing, as in some cases I would say it does it arguably better. Like, I think the whole connecting the plots is a lot better done here than in Lungbarrow, but it does come across as being fairly unoriginal. Overall, I do think this is an enjoyable read, that I would say acts as a nice hint of what was to come with the Benny Summerfield Virgin New Adventure books, and I would overall rate Birthright a 7 out of 10.